Hey everybody, welcome into the Fantasy Coffee Break, your number one source for quick fantasy information to help you dominate your league week in and week out. I'm your host, Cody Capola, as always joined by Conan Grun and Aaron Hale. How we doing, boys?
Can't complain. We're recording this before the Thursday night game, so I'm still eagerly waiting to watch that first game of the season. It's all about a start. It's all about to get really exciting soon. So how about you, Aaron?
Yeah, same here. Same here. I'm hoping that Kansas City game lived up to the hype. I'm just itching to get some football. So I'm excited. Get this fantasy league stuff started. I already did all my drafts, so looking to trade, looking to do anything I can to make sure I'm on top at the end of the year. So I'm just excited, man, just like everybody else.
I love it. About to say we've got early Thursday morning drafts in my league, so we go all the way up to the whistle on that one. So
Wow.
All right. Well, hey, this episode, we're going to be looking into our explosive game of the week. So something we want to do here is take a look at games that you basically want to snatch up as many pieces as possible and ride those into victory. The obvious choice this week is obviously the Thursday night game with Kansas City going up against Houston. But if you played fantasy at all, no one needs to tell you that Houston and Texans are going to be lights out teams this year. So we wanted to take a look at some of the Sunday slates. Aaron, why don't you get us started off with your explosive game of the week?
Yeah, man. Mine is going to be Tampa Bay and New Orleans. For obvious reasons, of course. I mean, Tom Brady, man, everybody's excited to see what that offense looks like. Is it going to be as high-powered as everybody thinks it is? Also, it's the NFC South game. So not only is it a window to see what could happen in the future for that division, it's also a high-scoring division as well. Typically, that is one of the highest-scoring divisions in the league. Legend versus legend. Breeze versus Brady, those always are going to be crazy matchups, and we get to see MT, man, the biggest wide receiver we got in the game, wide receiver one, no question, and then all the weapons that Brady has. It's definitely going to be a fantasy relevant game, just to see how offenses are structured, especially during this offseason with no preseason. This is going to be our first visual of how that offense looks. So excited to see it. What about you, Conan?
So I'm going to go to your neck of the woods, get to the Dallas Cowboys game versus the Los Angeles Rams. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking at the books, and they have the second highest over-under, which makes sense. Those are two really high-power offenses. Well, specifically passing offenses, I'll say. One side does have a much more significant fantasy running back in Zeke for the Cowboys. But in general, a lot of good passing options on both teams. So you got Robert Woods, you got Cooper Kupp on one side, and then you got the trio of Amari, you got Michael Gallup, and then you got CeeDee Lamb, and joined by Zeke, as I said. And so there just figures to be a lot of passes put up, a lot of points put up. And it'll be interesting to see just how CD fits into that offense. Is he going to get all those looks that Randall Cobb vacated? How many of those Jason Witten targets are going to slide over to him instead of Blake Jarwin? Or if does that even happen at all? So I think it's going to be an interesting game. Also on the other side, where they know the Rams no longer have Todd Gurley, who's been a staple in their offense for years now. And so last year, the Rams defense against the opponent's rushing was bottom half of the league, actually. But so aside from Zeke also expected to have a big game, I think a lot of the weapons on both teams, two wide receivers at least, even both tight ends are in play. And even on the Rams, you might have two tight ends in play with Higbee and Gerald Everett. So it'll be a very exciting offensive, explosive game, and it'll also be a tell for what happens later on in the season as well, which I'm very excited to see. So what about you, Cody?
Love you actually giving Everett some love. That's not something that we're seeing all out in the fantasy community too much. I know Higbee's the new hotness, but I think he could actually be the biggest surprise on that offense when everything is said and done.
And I think I think they actually got a couple trade offers for him, and they straight up denied it recently. There was a couple of stories about that, so they must love him.
So this week, I'm actually looking at the Chargers versus the Bengals. As we talked about in the streaming quarterback episode, it doesn't necessarily matter the quarterback nearly as much as the matchup, and Cincinnati might have the worst defense in the NFL. Now, at the exact same time as them having the worst defense, I think Joe Burrow is going to legitimately challenge every rookie passing record that there is. I think he's going to shatter the yard record. I think he's going to shatter the touchdown record. And this is going to be one of those teams that is going to probably lose a game after putting up 40 points. Keenan Allen, with Mike Williams being out, is looking at that 20 reception record that was set a couple of years back, and he knows that it's a realistic possibility. This is just one of those situations where from the top down, from the quarterback, the tight end position, we're just going to ignore Cincinnati's tight end, running back with Mixon and Eckler, and then the wide receivers, just AJ Green, possibly Auden Tate, who's been a recent wonder with the red zone usage from Burrows, Tyler Boyd being the most slept on slot receiver in the league, probably going to have another 120 targets this year. It really is going to be one of those situations where you're going to be able to find value all across the board. We know the big names are going to be a thing, but look a little bit deeper. Williams being out too. KJ Hill is going to be a nice deep sleeper option, especially in some of the DFS plays. And you should also see Hunter Henry take a big step forward to be a true wide receiver one or tight end one. And when we say tight end one over here, we're talking about top 6. No one cares about tight end 11, tight end 12. He has an opportunity to be the guy this week and set himself apart.
True. I agree.
All right, folks. Well, really appreciate you guys joining in for us, and hopefully you were able to pick up something.